most of the people, when they see a crash, they attribute that one to people mistakes. The reality is that the crashes are the outcome of a systemic, of a system rather than just a person inside the system. Many factors putting together to get that crash. This is the reality. The safe system principle tells that people make mistakes, but the consequence of that mistake shouldn't be fatal. If we're focusing only on human behavior, we will miss a big part of the system, which is the main reason for those crashes. Not going to solve the issue if you just focus on the human behavior.
Amir, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast to chat with me today.
Yep, thank you for having me, Mr. Ria.
Um, can you do a bit of an introduction to yourself? So, what's your name, where you work, what your title is, and then maybe something that you are passionate about?
Sure. My name is Amir Sobhani. I'm director of SafePass Consulting. It's a consulting firm that I recently founded, and I'm passionate about road safety for sure, and I am highly driven by commitment to saving lives by our road network.
So, from our previous conversations, you've been a really big advocate for data driven approaches when you're looking at solving transport problems. How do you think traditional road safety strategies have changed with that rise of big data and kind of new analytics approaches?
Oh, well, the traditional approaches using the crash-based databases uh, has been very reactive, which means that the crashes should happen. You have a good, accurate database, and then people started to just analyze the databases to find out the issues and react to those issues and provide some solutions there. However, the big data and the technology just enabled road safety authorities to start to think a bit proactive using very advanced analytics on those databases like spatial analysis, machine learning techniques, predictive analysis gave the big opportunity to road safety authorities to start be proactive and think proactive about road safety. And that's very aligned with the safe system and safe system principles. So we shouldn't wait for the crashes to happen and then react to it. We should be very proactive and just do our best to understand the risk factors and tackle them and just prevent them to happen. So I believe big data played a big role here and playing a big role here and just enables all the road safety authorities to act more proactive, develop strategies, investment plans, policies, programs more accurately and better to be more aligned with the safe system objectives.
When you're advising policymakers or people that work in transport on these safety investments, what are there any particular data metrics that you think would be most critical to kind of move towards this proactive approach instead of the historical reactive approach?
Yes, data is the essential part of for prioritizing safety investment and if we are going to shaping effective strategies. While there is, so I'm for all type of databases that could be used in order to get better insights, to do the better strategies, policies, and the safety solutions. Having mentioned this, there are some data that is very important, maybe an essential part when we do safety analysis. This includes crash data. We need this data, regardless of we are doing proactive or reactive, because the crash data is something that give us great insights about the patterns, how the outcome is going to work, and just do some sort of outcome analysis at the end, particularly for evaluation regardless of that evaluation is post-completion evaluation or the appraisal at the end. The other database is speed data, very important. So speed is a very important pillar of the safe system. So we need to have accurate speed data to give us a good understanding of the current situation, find out where the system is not working the way it should, and we should change it. And if we change it, what would be the expected outcomes at the end? The other database that I can talk about is infrastructure data, very important because For the locations that we do a speed management, we're going to do safety solutions. We need to know what current infrastructure is available. In network level, we need a good database in order to enable the road authorities and road safety experts to understand how they should, what the issue is and how they should tackle the issue to reduce the road trauma. And the other data is behavioral data. Human factor is a big pillar of the safe system. So it's having good understanding of the extreme behaviors, people behavior, people response, and people sort of opinion around different parts of the transport system is very important. And the type of behavior that the people show and just respond to any type of countermeasure that we develop in the safe system, that's very important. If we could have some behavioral data, that would be very good. And I think it's necessary, but although I know it's very challenging and finding that data is not easy, but that's a necessary part, and without it, for sure, there are some inaccuracy that we are dealing with anyway. So yes, these are the four main ones that I can tell. But as I mentioned, that's a combination of different databases that works.
So you've mentioned that finding the data itself is a challenge, but then I feel like there's that other challenge, which is how do you then integrate it into an organization and make it usable and have tangible outcomes?
So true.
From your perspective, what are some of the common hurdles that transport agencies encounter when they're trying to bring analytics and bring new data into their safety initiatives?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, you already mentioned one of them. So how to integrate the data, how to put together the data to make it useful and extract the insights that the road agencies need in order to make decision on that one, to make an informed decision. In terms of hurdles, I can talk about maybe 4 or 5 of them. The first one is data quality and availability. So very important. So as I mentioned about the necessary data, and but we know that even for that data, a big part of it might not be available to the agencies. So not all having access to that data is very important, very crucial. So that should be a first priority to make sure the subject matter experts, the data analysts, and road authorities, they got access to that information, gives them the information they need in order to make the right decision on right track. The second one is skills gap. So although the data is available, there is a gap in skills inside the organization in order to use that data to extract the actionable insights. The insights that is understandable by very high level leaders like ministers and others. So they are not technical people. So the insights should be extracted, maybe it should be accurate, very clear to them, to just give them some sort of information to make the final decision, because that level decision, that level is very important for improving road safety. The third one is legacy systems. So some organizations, the systems are still traditional. They do not have the infrastructure to allow for live data systems to be included in their databases, to do big data analysis, to do machine learning techniques, to do some sort of advanced analysis there. The other one is organizational resistance. So some organizations resisting more innovative approaches. They would love to stay. Is the traditional approach. That takes time to change their opinion. We cannot order them do this, do that, do that. So we need to change the culture. So that's my experience when I was in Safe System or Infrastructure program. Even embedding evaluation inside a Safe System or Infrastructure program encountered lots of resistance. Took few years in order to change the people mind, and now it's there. So that needs some sort of planning in order to make it happen. If any organization is suffered from traditional thinking. And also, you mentioned the last and very important one, siloed data is not going to help. So the organization should work together in order to integrate the data, connect the data, have some sort of arrangements to make it happen, to make a database of better for better insights and better decision making.
One thing you said that I thought was interesting is making sure that, say, the data is reliable. I think often it's unfairly the governments kind of unfairly put the majority of the pressure to make sure that the data they're receiving is accurate and all that kind of stuff. But then there's also that other side of the accountability on data providers So you've kind of talked around the idea of data governance, so making sure whatever you have is well structured and stable and reliable. And then also you mentioned the idea of you can't just lob data over the fence at an organization and expect them to know how to use it. So also accountability on the data providers to kind of provide support about maybe how they could best integrate that data into existing systems. Do you think that's a kind of an accurate or a fair statement to make?
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. So yeah, the both sides should just work hand to hand to make it happen. So the data provider, it's a very, very important, got a very, very important role here to make sure the data is accurate enough. Maybe the initial version of the data is not that much accurate, which is quite fine. So they can start using that one, but they should know where to use that one. And if they use it, and there are some a bit of inaccuracies that they should understand. This is the government side. They should understand, okay, so this is not accurate, but gives them some good insights for now. They document it. We know this, but for now, that's great to make this decision. And on the other side, which is the data provider side, they should make sure the quality improves as we go ahead and that they maintain a good level of quality and accuracy with the data. This way, I think these two parties could just work together in a robust sort of manner and just make things better and better as we go ahead.
So, kind of back onto my question around data driven approaches, there's a whole bunch of new technology that's coming out, and connected vehicle data is, oh, it's not like new at this point in time, but it's kind of new at scale. Can you maybe share some of your experiences in leveraging connected vehicle data for road safety applications?
Absolutely. So I just presented my what I experienced with connected vehicle data in US recently in Transport Research Board conference. And I received very great comments out of the experts over there. So last year, when I started my own venture, I was very passionate to just investigate new and innovative ways of doing analysis. That is why I use Compass IoT data in order to do an analysis and evaluation of a speed limit reduction that happened in 2018 in the part of the Melbourne, which is Yellow City Council. They did a trial on a part of the network and reduced the speed from 40 to 30 kilometers per hour. I was the quality manager of the proposal and lots of analysis based on the more traditional methods based on the speed data using tiers. But the results of that analysis didn't show lots of benefits for reducing the speed from 40 to 30 in that area. But the good results that came out at that time was that the community advocated it. It was a fantastic results for Euro City Council, Transport Expert Commission, and Department of Transport and Planning. And also some residual analysis that the MUR did show some progress in terms from say system point of view. For sure, there would be some improvement in safety, but the expectation was more than that. When I came out, I did the crash analysis. A bit of time passed. It was 2024, so we had good good crash data at that time. So last year this time. And I did the analysis, and the crash analysis showed significant improvement in the number of serious injuries and fatalities. Then that question came into my mind. Okay, the short-term evaluation using tube data first, the analysis didn't show that results. Then I decided to use compensatory data. So with two main sort of objectives. The first one is that okay, what's wrong between these two analyses? Is there anything that we missed in the analysis? So maybe that's a third way of analysis could give us what we want there, could answer some of the questions that we have. And the second one is that okay, that was the first I was very passionate to just use this compensatory data. There were a couple of people in your team that helped me a lot with that one, gave me some information, helped me with just extracting the data. That was very useful. That was a great collaboration that happened. The results was quite interesting. So the Compass IT data uh, confirmed both analysis, confirmed the short-term evaluation if we just use the average and central tendency analysis using Compass IT data, we are going to get similar results on what NEOI got over there in terms of the outcome, not exactly they were like in terms of the values, but in terms of the outcome, in terms of conclusion, we couldn't conclude a lot if we want to central tendency. But when I started to use residuals in Compass ID in In tube data residuals is the residual analysis is if they speed going beyond the threshold or something like that. In Compass IIT, we go to data analysis plus using the harsh breaking and conflict analysis. When we made the analysis were quite consistent again for short-term evaluation and Compass IIT data. Both showed improvement. And also the Compass IT data, when I use some theories that I developed back in 2008, to show the crash base, it's not actual crashes, with the risk of crashes and reduction of risk of crashes. The results of that when using Compass IT data was quite compliant with what I achieved from the crash analysis. So that was a very, very good study for me and very good experience for me that this data could be used uh, in order to do some good, to get some good insights and get some good evaluation. And there's a big difference over here. For that crash analysis, I needed to wait 6 years. Short term evaluation, it's very expensive. We cannot do every 2 months, go and just collect the data and do it again. But Compass IT gave me what I wanted and in just for the whole network, and I just had the flexibility to work with that data, work out the best way to do the analysis, and come up with the conclusion that I got at the end. This type of data and the big data. I responded, to the last question about the application of big data. This is a great example there. This big data gave us the opportunity to do the analysis at network level. It's the only thing that they should make sure about is the accuracy and the application. For that analysis, it showed promise.
More broadly, how do you see maybe the future applications or the future potential for connected vehicle data in advancing evidence-based road safety investments? I know it's been used in IRAP studies to get operational speed information. It's been used just as a comparison tool between locations with known crash history and then which locations are known versus maybe not known and need to be investigated. Are there any other kind of future potentials that you see?
Absolutely. But in order to answer this one, so I need to return back to 17 years ago when I started my PhD at Monash University. At that time, for sure, safe system has been in Victoria. Started 2004. 4 years before that, Victoria started to adopt safe system. So at that 2004, Dr. Bruce Coburn from Monash University, who is now a consultant as well, a friend of myself, he developed the kinetic energy management model in order to, as a conceptual framework, to implement safe system, to see how to manage kinetic energy in order to reduce road trauma. At that time, I started to quantify that network in my PhD. What I lacked was data. I developed my theory based on simulation because I didn't have data. When I started working with this data last year, one thing that I felt is that okay, so the insights that this data gives us is very important and very crucial. This is something that I used to simulate 15 years, 16 years ago, 17 years ago. Maybe last year it was 16 years ago. I used to simulate at that time because I didn't have it. So, and simulation need to justify a lot. But now I have the data. And putting that from these theories is very easy now, and we can come up with great insights out of it. And the future of this data relies on the maintenance of the accuracy of the data to ensure that we have more sample size, ensure that we maintain the accuracy of the data. If these two are there, this data could be used in for network level analysis. Since the time that I started my PhD until I saw this data, I couldn't see any other tool that gives us that network level analysis. Nothing. No database. Probe data was there. Here, TomTom, they're good, great. But your aggregated level, this data is individual level. That's a big, big importance of this data. Without the individual level, those theories could not be implemented. But for road safety, what Compacity provides is something a bit more than what they could provide because of that individual level analysis. This is one thing that I can say. The second one is you just mentioned lots of traffic operation and the stuff traffic operation sort of usage um, is being conducted by Compass IT using Compass IT data now these days. The way that this data, this type of data, probe data, Compass IT data, can link safety and mobility is unique because the expertise could use this data to put in the same platform to understand the operation and safety together. If they change operation, why we're changing safety? If they change safety, why we're changing operation? This is something unique, and even I can say that in the world is very, very rare that these days happening, but that could be a good future for this data.
I feel like there's sometimes a lot of myths that permeate around road safety. What's one myth about road safety that you wish more people understood or questioned?
Absolutely. So for this one, I would like to go for general road safety and safety system. Most of the people, when they see a crash, they attribute that one to people mistakes. For sure, in most of the crashes, the driver make mistake. Without those mistakes, we will not lead to a crash. So that's a chain of events happening that cause a crash. But the reality is that the crashes are the outcome of a systemic of a system rather than just a person inside the system. So that's related to road design, the speed. That's related. Human factor is a part of it for sure. Related to vehicle, related to many factors putting together to get that crash. This is the reality. The safe system principle. I was just talking about Bruce Coben model, the Carnegie management model. The safe system principle is talking about just tells that people make mistake, but the consequence of that mistake shouldn't be fatal, or they shouldn't be seriously injured. And if we make the system right, if we apply the safe system, that will not happen. So the takeaway is that if we're focusing only on human behavior, we will miss a big part of the system, which is the main reason for those crashes. Not going to solve the issue if we just focus on the human behavior at the end. So that's a takeaway. So that's what safe system brings, and that's the main thing to consider.
Amazing. Well, Amir, thanks so much for your time to come onto the podcast today and chat with me.
Thank you for the fantastic questions.
To learn more about any of the guests that we have on the Bite Size podcast, you can check out our show notes at compassiot.substack.com. Alternatively, if you'd like to know more about the company that runs this podcast, Compass IoT, you can visit our website, which is compassiot.com.au. Until next time.